are back once again playing Justice for All, Phoenix Wright Edition, as if it could be anyone else. In the last episode, we continued our time in court. Agent Andrews came up to the stand, testified, and now she's talking about how she's protecting Matt on guard. From what? From who? Or whom, depending on grammar. Who knows? But I mean, that's why we're here. We're going to figure out who she's protecting and why. Well, we know who. But anyway, I'm rambling. Let's go.
From the moment I saw the crime scene. Wow, that great start there. Okay.
Take two. All right.
From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what, and he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My doubts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt I had to protect him.
Shit, like I'm like getting some serious like vibes from Rise from the Ashes in the last game. He's like, I'm protecting like the chief prosecutor.
I'm protecting the chief prosecutor. I did it. You didn't do it. No, I didn't.
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe again. It's not a good vibe.
I know. I'm like, I was like, this entire time, like, I'm getting the Rise from the Ashes vibe. I'm like,
yeah.
This is just, this
not
doesn't
good.
feel right.
This doesn't count for it. That doesn't count for everything.
Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit.
If there are no objections, I feel that I can pass a verdict based on this testimony.
I didn't get a chance to cross-examine, Judge.
Now then, Mr. Wright, if you please.
Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. Okay, I just want to... Moment saw the crime scene, but had to kill Juan no matter what. He didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the murder. Preferred by evidence, of course, the button and the knife.
Yeah.
Manager felt like I had to protect him.
I really want to know, like, the first one. Like, why did she think that Matt on guard did it?
True. Would you say that it was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my method of reasoning with your own. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. If you think that these 3 things drew, there's too many T's there! Too many T's! The answer becomes quite clear. You should already know that, Phoenix!
She says with a smile on her face.
They didn't teach that to us in school, at least not from what I remember.
What school did you go to, Phoenix?
I worry about this attorney. May I continue now?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Had to kill Juan.
Juan.
Why?
So would you say this need come from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event and that hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt on guard.
And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews?
Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. But I'm sure Mr. Unguard himself didn't know anything about press conference.
Oh.
Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference?
I mean, he said he didn't.
Anyway, the important thing here is that this information was not in your testimony.
Good job, Phoenix. Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony if you will, please.
Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? But I don't have any way to prove that I'm right. I'm just looking.
Yeah, keep going. I don't think we have anything for that. How about
But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. Ungard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover for Mr. Ungard?
No, I'm pretty sure he was sleeping. I'm not telling you anything of the sort, huh?
When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time.
I keep trying, but I can find no flaws in what Miss Andrews said. I can't say the same for some people in the courtroom, however.
That's a jab at us.
Yeah.
The judge is glaring straight at Mia. What?
What? What?
Judge, that is an 8-year-old girl being possessed by a 20-something-year-old woman? Stop.
Yes.
He's glaring at you, smart guy.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Okay. That's what I thought. For him to be like, he's staring at Mia. He's glaring at Mia.
Not only is he easy to read, he's thick as hell.
Look, Mia's like, he's glaring at you, idiot.
Yeah, exactly. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. Yeah, let's hear about that.
You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage.
I'm just imagining, like, camel print on the knife.
Why? Then, what about the button?
Okay.
The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and the murderer fought. And during the fight, the Ripper ripped the button from the Jammy Ninja's costume.
You're talking about this button, correct?
That button was found in the pleats of Matt's comma. Isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence.
Yeah, sure, but... Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright.
Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes.
She can read his mind! That was in parentheses, he didn't say it.
Oh, it was in blue text and parentheses.
Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony.
Okay.
That button was torn off Juan's fights with Matt.
Oh, here's the autopsy.
Yeah, there's the autopsy, yeah.
Are you telling me that we say he was strangled for a knife, but there's still, like, no confrontation? I guess fight implies that Juan fought back. But the way I took it was like there was a skirmish, even if Matt was the one strangling him. Juan, like, still thrashed around and knocked things over, you know?
Right.
So I just assumed that that's part of a fight.
Yeah.
But I guess they don't explicitly
say it was, yeah.
Because strangle with a scarf, but there's still sign of a struggle.
Yeah.
I still say that's a fight.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe this technically was not a fight. Because Juan didn't fight back. Let's just do this.
Yeah.
This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation. The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died.
And what does this mean?
Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume when?
After the knife was stabbed into the victim.
Exactly, which means it is impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle. Oh, I guess that's also true.
Yeah.
In my mind, because everything was still set up against Matt.
Yeah.
It was so set up against Matt that what happened was they tore off the button, stabbed him, and was just kind of collecting blood on the button.
Okay. Yeah, I see what
that
you're
was
thinking.
In my mind because as a thing to stage Matt as the killer, but
yeah,
this
I can see
is
where
also true because the victim was strangled to death in that fight.
She just go, ah. Even though it's like this, it's like the facial, it goes, ah. You're like, ah.
Hey, you don't notice that I haven't been using the right
I've noticed,
emphasification, whatever, the right tone for like these stuff. That's right, Miss Andrews. There is no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was constantly pulled off of the victim's already dead body. Them pants.
Them pants.
They're just so bright.
Yeah. Order, what does this mean? What is the meaning of this, right?
What is the meaning? Objection! What is the meaning of this, right?
So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim already died? What does this change?
Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve?
What purpose? What porpoise?
What purpose? We now know this button was not turned off during the fight. So the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer has something in mind, wouldn't it?
Mr. Wright, does that mean... Does this mean that you know what the murderer wanted to do with the button? What was it?
It was to have a memento of the crime.
I mean, that exists.
We have already talked about this before,
It's the
Judge.
pin. It's the pin. Yeah.
Yes, it is the pin. I know that, to destroy the evidence.
Yeah.
Nothing else, just the pin.
Yeah.
Not the pin, the button. Just the button. We only need to destroy the button.
button.
That destroys all other evidence.
All evidence.
There is only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. Unguard. There is no way anyone would put a bloody button in their own pants.
Hey.
That's right, Mr. Unguard was set up. By the real killer, of course.
And the real murderer is? Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then?
Judge, that's not our job! Finally, I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet, not into the very end.
The real killer, the person... Oh, that's you.
The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. Unguard is... the killer.
Yeah, my reaction too. My reaction too, Echo.
It's like they want us to do this, but everything's so sketch. It's just sketch, you know? Everything's sketch. I just don't want it. We're gonna find out something like real bad.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna be like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just do this. Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you. I choose you, Adrian Andrews. You are Mr. Corda's killer.
Draw it now.
Okay. Okay, I'll draw it.
Well, if you have to.
I can still draw it.
Order! Mr. Wright! This is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge?
Any evidence? All the evidence points to Miss Andrews. Well, how preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. Unguard naturally. A knife covered in the defender's fingerprint could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Tis. She's just holding up replacement glasses.
Yeah.
Then, what about the button that was found in Max Hakama's? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. Unguard was the real killer, there's no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own Hakama. That's like your 5th pair of glasses.
Yeah.
The only person who could have put this button onto Mr. Unguard's Hakama is the person who went to wake him up from his nap, which is you, yet again, Miss Andrews.
I see. Then what about the empty guitar case?
There's also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was such a costume inside the guitar case? It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No,
But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right.
That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews perfectly left her fingerprints on the glass to show that, yes, indeed, she was a classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. And to top it all off, there is this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. On Guard. He would have been much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please, stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time.
Miss Andrews.
I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me.
Why, well, yes. You are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination. By allowing a witness not to testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves.
What?
Pleading the fifth.
Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. Ungar's room, it's about the suicide, man! Maybe. Probably. Adrian Andrews. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Alright. What dirt did Varkarma get on her? That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews not to testify if things look bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there is still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done?
What's wrong, right? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? What's so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless.
What?
Everything you have proven is circumstantial.
Circumstantial?
Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to prove a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corrida.
Uh-oh.
But Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corrida?
I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering.
But Miss Andrews, if you do that, then it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think?
Maybe so, or maybe not. There is nothing to prove it. There is nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I will be guilty of due to my silence. No! She's taking that defiant attitude again! Mia, what should we do? Somehow we've landed in the worst possible situation.
This is the worst timeline. I think we have reached a certain conclusion of this point, at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify. And the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. So you know what that means?
She's the one who doesn't want us to show this. I just, don't really feel good about bringing this up.
Right.
But that's not true.
In this situation, there is only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare a recess.
Recess?
I request that both prosecution and defense look further into this matter, and that tomorrow's trial...
Tomorrow? We don't have a tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please, wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial.
What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he?
That's not it. This is about that. Edward, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya...
But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It's not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you? It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation is were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold her testimony. Yes, that's very true, but actually, there is one little thing I'm curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice.
Yes, and?
I can't help but think how unnatural that is.
I know, right?
Usually, when someone finds a body, they're shaken up and not stirring a glass of juice.
So my actions were unusual, but I've already...
Before you speak, I want you to state that if you had a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect.
Testify?
Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out, this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. Seems fair enough.
I don't know what it is about Edward today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know.
The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please.
I will say this right now. If he appears friend and is clear, then the judge is gonna know something's up. You know what I mean? And we don't want that? Really? Because that's bad. But, okay.
When I found the body.
That glass of juice. I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over.
So you poured the glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you just say something in your early testimony?
I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. Edward, what the heck is going on in that brain of yours?
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Crops. Oh yes, wheat and corn. Crops examination.
Okay, we don't have
the crime photo.
It still looks fall.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I was gonna say we don't have the bottle itself
As evidence, yeah, so yeah, we don't.
I know it's in the crime photo, but that amount missing does not equate to the amount in the glass. I'm still saying. Surprised when walking the room, saw in a messy state, sitting slumped over, tired looking. Thought that he was dead, didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I wanted to pour him some juice. You thought he fainted? I thought he was asleep at first. But then, the room was in such a messy state. I thought maybe he had gotten into a fight with someone.
And that is when you went to pour a glass of juice.
Yes, he always has a hard time waking up. So Han always has a glass of tomato juice to drink.
I see. And after that, what happened next?
Realized he was dead, that's when I knocked over a flower vase. I'm just gonna... And how did you come to realize that he was in fact dead? I shook him over and over and never got a response. So I set the glass down on the dresser and tried to take his pulse. I was shocked and staggered backwards.
And knocked the flower vase over. So that's what happened.
Yes. This is what it all comes down to. Huh? This is the absolute end for both sides. And Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now is our best chance yet to kill the prosecution case. Isn't that a bit harsh? Miss Andrews, will you tell us the truth this time? He does have a knife in his chest. That's what I was thinking. I was like, he slumped over and you think he's sleeping like this?
With a chest in his knife. A knife in his chest.
A chest in his knife. Don't you know there's a chest in his knife?
God! People these days with their chests and their knives.
Leaving their chest in my knife? Gosh!
How inconsiderate.
Yeah. I'm like, if it was the back, I would understand because you can't see the knife.
Right.
But it's not. It's the front.
Yeah.
Crime photo. Oh, come on. It's not that one.
Oh, really? What?
They are they? Mr. Wright, please think back over. Are you serious? It has to be that one. Slumped over, tired looking.
Probably that one.
Oh, it didn't cross my mind he was dead. That one, instead. Really? I think both of them would have worked, you know?
Yeah, I think, you did on 3, not 4.
But it still would have.
Yeah, it totally would have. I totally agree.
Bull crap.
Whatever, you're almost done.
So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body?
What's the meaning of this?
Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There is a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Corda's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man. Well, you see, I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted, and then so nonchalantly go pour something to drink.
Your point is...
Miss Andrews, your testimony just now was one big giant lie. Wait, what was that? Okay. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly. That you are the real killer. No!
It looks like the defense has somehow brought this ugly truth to light. The defendant, Matt on guard, is not guilty after all.
But that's impossible. You're wrong.
Miss Andrews, try to have some composure.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt. I swear it was. He was the one who killed Juan. But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because...
Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you?
I refuse to testify.
Then there's no need for this court to continue any further. Matt on guard is innocent, and innocence has been clearly demonstrated.
Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't.
Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt on guard. Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. Well, what? The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute truth.
That is true.
The absolute real truth. What are you, witness? Don't you understand yet?
Huh?
I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head. But as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt on guard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party.
That's a lie. I don't believe you.
What?
I was told if I spoke, that it would be all over and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Franziska von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrew lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then, right now, Miss Andrews is. Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss Von Karma. Don't say a word no matter what happens. If you do, Matt on guard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in these words right now and is clinging onto them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? Phoenix, no! All we have to do now is not get our guilty. That's my only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you. Please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help. Please. Someone. Help me.
Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
The courts cannot continue on like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do.
What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say?
Right. I suggest you think this very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime.
Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? Phoenix! There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there, right?
Come now. What will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright?
I want to force her to testify. I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. Miss Andrews, I would like to know what you are really hiding.
Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Sure, Mr. Unguard would get an acquittal, but in his place, you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? Be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me.
That's enough. I commend both of you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense theory is the truth.
You're wrong.
Such a shame. I had hoped things wouldn't come to this, however. Well, what is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you are absolutely refused to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court.
Stop.
Mr. Edgeworth! This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness.
It's not an illness. What?
And because of this illness, she had tried to commit suicide in the past.
Oh my god, it's not an illness! Edgeworth! Okay, I was worried about Phoenix. I didn't think about Edgeworth because he wasn't the prosecutor. And now! So stop. Please stop.
No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here.
That's... Don't we have that too?
Yes.
That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. Okay.
What will you do now, witness? You know what I am about to do, don't you? I will reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews.
Okay. Not pitiful. Secret of her codependent nature. Everyone is codependent. I'm just gonna say this right now. Or at least 99%. Those 1% who are completely dependent, good on you, but I still have some codependent issues. I guess. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. Everyone has their secrets. Please stop! I beg you. If people find out, I'll...
If you're going to say you choose death, that is no concern to me.
Edgeworth, how can you be so cold?
However, before you die, I will put the truth from your breathing lips. Pull. No matter what I have to do. So, will you tell the court yourself or shall I? Either is fine with me.
I'll talk, but please, help me. Nothing matters anymore. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted. Honest. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then, I stabbed Juan's body with a knife and ripped off the button. That was when I finished and I was returning to Matt's room. I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why. That's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai's costume.
So stabbed body with a knife? But why would you do that?
Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man.
What do you mean by all of this? It might take the court a little while to understand, but this is the truth.
The real killer is Matt. The scumbag of a man. That scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again. Just like last time.
Last time? So, Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Corrida, in the chest with a knife. However, she did not do it with murder in mind.
She did it to a dead body.
Yes, she did it with the intent of framing Matt on guard for the murder. And this is her crime.
what was it? Plagiarizing the crime scene.
Tampering with
the crime scene.
Plagiarizing.
Plagiarizing.
I imagine like plagiarizing. Like, no, this crime scene's mine. I made this.
I'm just, what are words?
Yeah.
What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer? Oh my gosh, Phoenix!
This is where Phoenix grows as a character. This is the middle part of his hero's journey. Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence with the cross-examination. Press everything. Don't have to present anything, just press.
Okay. But you could tell from the state of the room it was in that there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say that you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck, and that scarf is part of the Jammy Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it. It was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up and went to pour the juice. What is this plan you had? I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because, one, he was going to expose Matt's weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt.
So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button.
The first thing that came to my mind was to plant the knife. Once I make sure there is no one in the hall. That was so you could get the knife, correct? The knife Matt used at dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes toward him. Matt was snapping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. I want to say crime scene every time. I don't want to say scene of crime. Stab the body. If you were the one to stab the victim with that knife. It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then, when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect.
So you thought to rip off one of the buttons and plant it in Mr. Unguard's hamaka.
Yes, that's what I had planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they? An inconvenience. There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I willing to bet my spikes it was Lana. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth. That's Miss Obad for you. I had already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking myself and get caught again. You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from Global Studios. I also put it in Han's guitar case the day before the award ceremony.
You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct?
Yes, Han wanted to wear the costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Mac's big secret there.
And what's his secret?
That I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Han's room in the samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume.
I think we've heard enough. So, after that, you went back to Master Unguard's room and planted the button.
Into Matt's hamaka? Yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it.
My word. What does all this mean?
Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt Ungard. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said that I should under no circumstances confess to what I had done. If I had just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words.
What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain that she is not the real killer.
Well, wait, Your Honor. The defense still...
Right. It is pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points her as the murderer. The cross-examination of the witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish the witness was the culprit. Please, let it go, Mr. Wright.
But we established that our person is not the culprit. So, can we get that acquittal?
But Miss Andrews just said that Matt did it.
That's true. But...
Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honor. Prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for today.
Oh, shit. Today's trial. It's over. And I didn't win an acquittal.
Witness, would you mind if I asked you something? Edgeworth?
What is it?
Before you leave court today, I wondered if you might take a look at one thing. The card in your hand. It had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it?
Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now. I found this in the room on that day.
The room? That day?
Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there right next to him.
You found that card next to the victim's body?
I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right? Yeah, I guess not, but it's still a strange card if you ask me. That's their signature. They kill someone and they leave the card. But as far as a clue to this case, I don't see why. Hold it!
Witness, that card. Give it to me. Hurry!
Edgeworth.
Do you have any idea what I just have stupidly done, yet inadvertently done? This. I can't believe you hid this from me all this time.
I didn't mean to. What is this all about? I've never seen such an emotional Edgeworth in my entire life. That card. What in the world is it? And what does it mean?
To be continued. Okay, guys, I want to finish up the court case before we moved on to the second investigation part of this case. Shit went down.
Shit went all the way down.
So we will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.